You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's House of Cards After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's House of Cards After Show.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, After Buzzers, and welcome to Netflix original series, House of Cards, Chapter 24. This is Season 2, Episode 11. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Thaddeus Massey, and it's been a fun ride. It's not over yet, but it's coming to a conclusion sometime soon. Joining me today are the two beautiful...
Hi, everyone. I'm Sofia, Stanley.
And...
Hey, guys. It's Emma Kay.
Sofia, Stanley, and Emma Kay. So today, you guys, what we want to discuss is the top three things, because this was a momentous episode, to say the least. If you guys have watched it already, we're going to discuss Frank being interrogated by the Special Prosecutor Dunbar, along with Claire trying to keep everything under wraps with the sexual assault bill and the sexual assault reform in the military, which is very important. And this situation was, we're going to start with Jackie and Remy because we left out a couple things. Well, we just omitted it. We didn't talk about it because there was so much that happened last episode. But we want to start off with Jackie and Remy in bed. And this is a little bit of episode 10, but it kind of leads into some things that happened in this episode as well with their strained relationship. It kind of sucks. It would probably have been better if both of them were guys or both of them were girls. It would be all business. But now they've got this relationship going, and it's put a strain on their relationship, and it's kind of hurt the business side of their relationship, so to speak. Also, they can't really even have a relationship. I don't know. Well, anyway, last episode, they were in bed together, and Remy was admiring Jackie's tattoos and trying to find out what they mean, and she didn't want to tell him. And he convinced her in a guy way to tell her what the tattoos meant, and she went on to talk about how the pain made her feel. I don't know, it's some kind of balancing of how she ended up, she was in the army and she killed a lot of people. But
didn't you find his reaction a little strange when she basically said, he's like, oh, do you like pain? She was like, yeah. She's like, I killed a lot of people.
Right.
And he looked like stupefied in that situation.
Right. And then she goes, yeah.
Don't you know where she comes from?
And then she was like, in the army.
Right.
But he still, that look on his face kind of didn't go away.
It didn't, and they did cut on that. They cut on his face looking like that, too.
Right.
I don't know why that was a deal breaker for him, because and then at the end she was just like, just finish, hurry, I know you don't want to go forward.
No. Actually, funny thing is, I actually interpret that a little bit different. I don't think it was like finish, hurry. I think it was finish.
No, like finish even though you don't want to. Like you're done. Like you're disconnected from this moment already.
That's true. But I think that, again, I love the symmetry of this show. And the last time we heard that word finish in the context was with Lucas and Zoe. And I think the difference is when Zoe was saying finish, it was for Lucas's pleasure, quote unquote, right? Basically like, hurry up, you finish, you get what you need, and then we're done. The difference with Jackie is she was like, finish so I can get what I need, and then we're done.
And why the relationship doesn't work or isn't going to work is because of the fact how they're trying to put a line through the work and the personal, which is not going to work because it is so intertwined and connected in every way that you can't do that.
So what exactly had happened when she had Remy come to her office? They've already made an agreement not to keep personal, to keep business. And when she had Remy come to the office and she confronts him like,
Well,
what is
again,
this?
I think the problem also too. Let's back
With
up.
the pack-
She was
it was with the
outed.
pack
Also,
article.
it's because she was outed.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Again, you have to mention the fact that Frank basically was like, oh, go ask Remy. It will make for good pillow talk.
Right.
So again, she's coming at Remy like, oh, wait a minute. A, what's going on? And B, crap, people know.
Right. So yeah, exactly. And I mean, Frank does his research. He sent his little one of the hellhounds to go find out some stuff. Seth found out.
Well, no, because he placed Jackie in a position where he has people that are still loyal to him. So even if, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal for Seth to find out because his secretary is still loyal to Frank.
Right.
Not Jackie. Jackie is just the new person who's in office.
But if you think about it also, he's the vice president, and I think that he could have sent Seth, and Seth could have said exactly what he said and said, I'm here under the behest of Stamper, who's basically speaking directly for the vice president, and anybody of a lesser position who's just a secretary would have said, okay, let me look up these times for you that you want to know when somebody such and such met with such and such. And they would have just told him. But see, they came up with their own, Seth came up with his own summation of what that meant. He's not stupid. He's like, oh, these meetings don't happen around these times. They're sleeping together. It was like obvious. So he went and told me to report it back to Frank. I think, you know, and it just made it that much easier that Nancy used to work for Frank.
For me, this episode, I kind of can't get a read on Remy. And the reason being is well, actually, let me back up. I actually can't get a read on either one of them, Jackie or Remy.
Okay.
Because I'm going to start with Jackie real quick. Jackie, to me, was out of line. Jackie is the one who set very clearly defined boundaries.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden is like, well, what the hell is this? And he's like, yo, you're the one who set boundaries. And she's like, but not for this.
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, then you need to send me a memo or an addendum to the contract because I was unaware. When you said completely separate, that means completely separate.
Right. You can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways.
Right.
And I like how then she kind of goes, wait a minute, like, are you only sleeping with me to get information from Frank? I like how he stood up to her and was like, I care about you more than I should. I'm actually getting tired of saying that to you. Because at the end of the day, no aspect of this dance, and maybe I'm reading it wrong, no aspect of this dance seemed orchestrated by Remy.
Right.
If anything, it really seems like for the first time we saw Remy not being as smooth as we've seen him in the past.
Well, Remy had nothing to do with the article being dropped. That was all based on the triggering of Seth and Stamper having...
True, but I think she's basically also saying, like, on a larger issue, like, are you kind of involved with Remy taking us collectively down? Because if you work if you work for Raymond Tusk, and Raymond Tusk is basically trying to go after the Democrats, then that means you're coming after me.
I mean, she does have a valid point, but at the same time, you know, to his defense, he's actually blinded by love and protecting her.
Well,
because
let me defend the guys here. I don't think he's in love. Just like he told.
That's not defending him.
Huh?
Go ahead. That is defending him.
How?
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, he's not
he's not in love with her.
Head over heels for her, but he has
feelings for her. He cares about her. Just like he said,
her.
I care about you more than you should. He's not in love with her though.
So
he said, just like he said earlier, like another episode, he was like, "Oh, I'm not asking to get married or anything." But
I think that's just that makes it worse. Then on some levels, then to me, he's stupid. Because if he's not in love with her, no, seriously, if he's not in love with her and he's willing to risk his career for someone he's not in love with,
I don't think he's risking his career.
And I think he is because again, he doesn't disclose the fast forward. He doesn't disclose the information he got from Havemeyer when he talks with Tusk. So despite the fact that yes, it starts off, he basically says no boundaries. Fast forward, he then threatens her and basically says, "This is what you're going to go tell the special prosecutor." But at the end of the day, he didn't give Raymond the information he needed to basically slay Jackie.
Right, that's true. He didn't.
Right, and then fast forward. That's why he needs to have the conversation with Frank and send him the watch because he literally is like, "Wait, my options are I'm losing here."
Right. Well, because Tusk is losing. That's why, and that's the side he's on.
No, but he says with Glendon Hill that he's on a paid leave of absence, which translates into you're going to be terminated after this whole investigation thing is done. So he needs to look into options of where he's going.
Well, we already know that, and the reason why we know that is because just like Jackie stated before in another episode, she said the only reason you made partner is because you know things that other people don't know. So that's the only reason that he's in this position with Glendon Hill and got the partnership to begin with. And now that things aren't looking good with Raymond Tusk and they're losing that battle, Raymond is losing this battle now.
But Raymond's losing because Remy's not playing. Think about it. Remy's heart isn't in it. Because at the end of the day, because again, let's.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that doesn't factor in, but what I'm saying is he's playing. Frank and the Hellhounds are just outplaying him and Tusk at the end of the day. Because look, when he got confronted with that article, that has nothing to do with Remy not playing the game. That has to do with maneuvers that Frank and his team are making to outplay Tusk and Remy.
But why is he not on top of Frank, like Raymond says? Because technically, I think
he is on top of Frank.
He really isn't.
But when he confronted Jackie, he said, Jackie's in denial of her even being working for Frank. It's like, no, you're in denial. She said, no, I'm my own person. He said, my case in point. You don't even realize that you actually work for Frank. He said, he said, granted, I'm a bitch for a lot of top dogs, but he knows his position and he knows where he's at with it.
I think he's being terminated because he's actually exposed Glendon Hill for work that he shouldn't be doing. As he tells Tusk, I'm your lobbyist. I'm not your handyman to go do dirty work for you. So he has exposed Glendon Hill to be a part of, this investigation that could possibly hurt them. So they need to cut ties with him.
It could implicate
But
Glendon
before, when we've seen him with the whole Claire's company CWI and what was the company he was lobbying for? The water Sancor.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him really lobbying. Mm-hmm. Even if he might have used dirt to get lobby for people, it wasn't to go find dirt to destroy people like this, which is not lobbying. So he's putting their reputation and exposing them and leaving footprints for the things that Tusk wants him to do.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. They can leave as many footprints as they want, as long as it doesn't tie back to something illegal. Just like Tusk said in the car when he was talking to Remy, he said, "I don't care if the public doesn't like me, as long as my company is making money, the shareholders don't care, and that's all that matters." He can kill Frank's career with public opinion, and that's why he's been attacking him with these slanderous scandal. Well, not slanderous, true stuff. It's real. It's not slander, but he's just digging and finding out information. So for me, Remy has been playing. He had the situation with Adam Galloway. He's been doing the dirt that would hurt Frank, which ultimately hurts Jackie.
Okay, but
because
Frank is backfiring on them, and if Glendon Hill is a company that's lobbying for Tusk, and Tusk is under investigation for money laundering, how is that going to look on them?
No. This thing is, I don't think we're, and correct me if I'm wrong, Thaddeus, we're not arguing of why he's on paid leave with Glendon Hill.
Right.
We're not arguing
that's
that.
Not even debatable.
No, that's not even debatable.
No, I know. I'm just saying that, they're pulling out because he's doing much more than what a lobbyist should do.
That's my point. We're in agreement.
Yeah.
We're totally agreeing with that. We're
that.
agreeing about that. I think what the question is basically whose side is he playing on?
Right.
So meaning, is he actually really playing hard for Raymond?
Right.
Or is he not necessarily doing all that he can do because he actually has feelings for Jackie, so he's still trying to protect Jackie?
And that's my point. I do not agree. What my point is, I believe that he's playing the game, and he has been playing the game. He's been doing everything that he could do within his power to help ensure that Raymond wins this battle, but they've been outmaneuvered and outplayed by Frank and his team. The Hellhounds have been doing whatever they can at Frank's behest, and they're just being outplayed. It has nothing to do, just like Jackie requested, as he said, we'll keep business and personal. Now she's all PO'd because now her seat is in contention. She could lose her seat or whatever, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, this is what you wanted. Yeah. He's just been doing his job.
And respecting her wishes.
And respecting her wishes. What else do you want from me, Jackie? We've kept business. We've kept personal. And now that things aren't going your way, I have nothing to do with this. Like, how am I supposed to know that this article was going to drop because Frank is being Frank? That doesn't even make sense. She's just really venting at the end of the day.
But do you think she's 100% venting, or do you think she's manipulating? Like, do you think she's 100% like pissed, or is there a part of her that's still trying to, in the moment, strategize and figure out how she can get him on her side?
No, because I think she would have done that with Pillow Talk, not in her office.
Well, no, the pillow talk obviously didn't work.
Right.
Well, they
I don't
didn't
mean to be
really have
disrespectful.
one about
But-
that topic. She
Okay.
invited him to. She called him into
and
her office.
who's giving who more information during Pillow Talk? Is she giving more information than she's receiving during Pillow Talk? Maybe that's why she's like, "Are you screwing me just to get information on Frank?" And that's why she felt. You see how her body language changed.
Mm-hmm.
She, instead of being the empowered Jackie that she was when she was like talking to Claire and she's talked to everybody else who's in the house, she's all empowered. She got real like girlfriend and crossed her arms. It was like, have you just been screwing me to get information from Frank?
Well, we saw how he was.
I started laughing. She went straight girlfriend on that. In that moment, Sofia knows exactly what I'm talking about. You used to remember her body language completely changed. She crossed her arms and she cocked the hip.
Well,
That's exactly what she did.
But we've
I was
seen-
like, wow, Jackie just gave her whole ish away.
We've
right
seen
there.
how he's been able to get information out of her in the way he pleases her. So who knows what other information she's volunteered to tell him based on how he seduced her.
So that tells me this whole time she's been fronting about being tough, and I mean she is tough.
No, she is tough, 'cause also
she's
let's-
tough, but
let's
she's
back
still
up.
human, and she has
Exactly.
feelings for him, and you can't not be a normal person at the same time, no matter how tough a politician you are. Even Frank has a wife that he loves and adores. Even Frank. So Frank has somebody that he loves. So Jackie is half as treacherous and corrupt as Frank is.
Yeah.
So that to me is part of one of a weakness of hers. Is talented as she is as a politician, that is a weakness, to be in denial that she can be as tough and doesn't need this personal, we can keep business like this. And she got to remember that when Remy respected her wishes, this guy worked for Frank for almost 10 years. He is not where he is at because he is a dummy. Just like he said, he recognizes that he's a bitch for a lot of top dogs. He's not a bitch for some punks. He's a bitch for guys that are... There's a lot of guys that would be like, I'll apply for that bitch
Well,
position.
because I think also the difference
Remy's making money and he's
is, and I'm
powerful.
going to talk out of, I'm going to argue two different points. It's because Remy's accountable for Remy's actions.
Right.
I think that a lot of people in this show and in this scenario, they blame other things, right? They go, I had no other choice. It's my only option, so forth and so on. We never see Remy saying that. We never see Remy apologizing. Again, analogous to Frank's quote when he was leaving Freddy's, he basically was like, no regrets. He's like, you think I'm a hypocrite?
Right.
He's like, yeah, but you have to make choices. Sometimes there's casualties, no regrets. And I think that what that's saying is you have to take accountability for who you decide to be and how you literally play that out in the world. He's really saying to Jackie, like, oh no, you're naive because you don't even realize that you're being played. I know exactly when someone
my
says something
position
to
is.
me, what my position is. Now, I'm going to talk out of the complete opposite side of my mouth.
Do it.
Part of me is when that church scene with Frank, it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I feel like he is flip-flopping. Like, choose a position and kind of go down with the ship. Because to me, why? Because you're
Okay.
like basically like, I'm not your puppet or I'm not coming to you wholesale. That's exactly what you're doing. You just told him you're about to lose your job at Glendon Hill, right? So basically, and not just lose it, you're going to be tarnished. So you can't go to any other lateral big K firm, right? Number two, it seems as if he is admitting in church that Tusk is going to lose, right? So that means Frank is going to win. Now, he's already left Frank once. He's gone to blows with Frank and lost, and now has to come to him, what, third, fourth, fifth in line? Do you know what I mean? Like,
And
to
I'm
me,
gonna take
just
it-
go somewhere else.
Go ahead,
And I'm going
Emma.
to take it a one step forward with the whole church scene and say that he was speaking honestly about his feelings and not taking big punches at Frank, but also the church and the fact that Frank sat in back of him and he was sitting in front, kind of like he was in a confessional room speaking. And also, what does the church represent? Ultimately God. So he's going to Frank as he sees Frank to be this
And-
God figure.
And I'm pissed.
I hate that you recognize that.
Yeah.
No,
and pissed.
but that's what,
that is
No,
what
he
it
means-
is.
because
No, he
every
agrees.
single
Yeah.
time Frank has gone into
That's
a
so
church,
true.
Yeah.
it has represented that he has this power over church, that he's
Right.
bigger and greater than
Right.
church.
This whole, he's
So
deified
he's
himself.
coming to
Frank
confess to Frank, who he symbolizes as his God figure, that he wants to be on his team, even though he doesn't really say it. I think that's what he meant, that at the end, I'm going to side with you. I think he was thinking, like, I was so stupid to, you know, not have taken the step that Seth did from the beginning, and we could have blown Tusk out of the waters from the beginning instead of, you know, me playing these games.
Well,
and
here's the thing with that. Here's the thing with him blowing Tusk out of the water and aligning himself with Frank. He's a partner at a like a huge lobbying firm already, right? So now he's been employed and been assigned to a case via the company or the firm. He hasn't been? It wasn't via
Raymond has hired him.
Exactly. Remember when the whole thing was going down?
He contracted him separately from Glendon Hill?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's through Glendon Hill, but he got Raymond as a client. Remember, that's when he jumped ships between Sandcor and Raymond. Remember how in season 1, Frank wanted to set up so that Sandcor could basically buy Tusk's shares to make the profit margins go down.
Right.
Remember? And basically, Remy was the one going to do the go-between. He was like, oh, Raymond, please go tell them. Remy didn't. Frank then goes to Georgia or whatever to go meet with the executive.
Right.
And at that moment, the reason that Remy hadn't told his people at Sancor is because he decided to end run him and basically go directly to Tusk.
I remember that.
And that's how he got Tusk as a client. So I'm assuming he dropped Sancor, and it's okay because he's not going to lose his partnership because he got a bigger client, which is Raymond Tusk. Remember, Raymond Tusk even ended up buying out part of Sancor.
Yes, I do
To
remember
get
that.
the stock,
You're right.
yeah.
You're absolutely right. Okay, so this scenario, just the dynamic between Frank and Remy's relationship and how that played out. He brought the watch back, gave the watch back to him and said, this is what did he say? This is a peace offering or a symbol of good faith.
Yes.
A good faith
Yes,
offering.
Yeah.
Right? Frank has this respect for Remy like a son that went out in the world on his own that he raised, and a son who's like starts his own company to compete with the dad's company. And even though he's like, I'm going to show this little, such as he still loves him because that's his son, and he has like this respect for him that he's raised this son that's like,
planted the seeds.
Right, that has the balls enough to like stand up to his dad kind of thing. And that's why, and he can also gloat in the fact that he comes back to him and is like, look, and he also respects the fact that he's man enough to come back and say, I know when I've lost, I know when I've been beat, and if there's some place for me over there on this side, look.
Well,
and the thing about Remy, he's a pragmatist. Like, look, dude, you're losing this. Raymond Tusk is losing, and he played the game. He's had a complete full-on publicity ad attack. Frank and his team have been able to circumvent and dodge and bob and weave around everything that they tossed at him. And what else do you do? And that was basically Raymond's approach. Raymond's approach was like, he cannot survive a public tarnishing. And and that was Raymond's approach. So Remy went full out on what the guy who the boss man wanted, and he wasn't successful. And it wasn't Raymond's approach. It wasn't Remy's approach. That was Raymond's approach, and Remy was just the one that was executing it.
I have two statements. One, Frank isn't pissed off or upset with Remy because he knows this is a job. He's not doing it because he hates Frank. This is a job. That's what his job is.
Neutral.
He gets a client and he has to find whatever it is. Just, the same thing he would have done for Frank or any other company that he works with. So it just so happens that it's Tusk right now. And two, what do you guys think if Remy ends up going with Frank? Doug, Remy, and Seth. That would be an amazing team.
No. Oh, James. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no. Me too.
Why?
No.
Because there's a reason why Stamper and Seth work directly under the assignment of Frank, and Remy is able to go out on his own and handle himself out in the political stratosphere without any guidance per se. He's given a quote unquote assignment, or he can work in conjunction with he's somebody who works with you, not somebody that necessarily works
under you.
for
I didn't
you or
say
under you.
work
Right.
for you. I said work with them, like to be a part of the team. Because from
But
what we've heard,
he's a guy that would tell Stamper or Seth what to do. He's not a guy that would.
But you
I see
need that
what you're
because of
saying.
how exposed they've been.
Right.
And the reason why Seth got hired is because he was able to find information on Frank and Claire that they didn't know about, that existed, and Doug didn't do his job. So he's run his course of how much he could do. So to have someone in the White House and someone on the outside who's able to make sure that you have nothing out there that's going to hurt
blind
you,
spots.
no blind spots, especially the fact that Frank is going after the presidency from what we think and what we assume. You need someone like that.
Someone like Remy.
Someone like Remy who's working on the outside,
Right.
not
Most
necessarily on the
definitely.
inside.
Most definitely.
I think we agree with that in
Yeah, we
terms of
definitely
like
agree.
of stacking
Yeah.
the team.
Yeah.
I think we both jinx at the same time, just in terms of the fact that if you want to make him part of the inner circle, he's always going to be kind of the stepchild.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I actually like that. I know
Yeah.
that sounds weird because I think there's a certain bravado to it.
But he would still be on the team.
Correct.
On the
But I
Frank
still-
Underwood team, not necessarily as part of the
No, I
chief.
agree, and I think though this is the irony
I think he's
of the
more the
situation.
child and Stamper and Seth
Oh
are
no,
more like the
completely
stepchildren.
true.
Yeah.
And I caught myself when I said that.
Right.
And the reason being is because there was a deference that Frank gave when he mentioned Jackie, like basically like you know Raymond has less regard for Jackie than I do, but he didn't say anything about Remy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it was very important that he didn't say anything negative. That was in Frank's world when Frank would have made a jab to us about Remy, and he didn't. He made a jab about him in terms of his heart.
Right.
But then I think that's also the heart money thing. But again, it was from a place of, I hope he learns, not a place of, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Him working for Frank for 8 years, like anything that's his success is kind of like Frank's success. Like
Yeah.
that's my.
But he needed to venture out to get the respect that he deserved.
most
So
definitely.
now
Most
coming
definitely.
back, it's a completely total
as long as
different
it's not
game.
anti-Frank, but
Yeah.
any kind of success is kind of like.
But this is the only
Remy
thing.
Danton is, he worked for me for 8 years. He learned everything he knows from my office, kind of thing.
The only thing I didn't like, or not the only thing, but and this is really and I'll try to keep it short, is there was a symmetry with when Remy went to go talk to Tusk, and Tusk is in his own barbershop, right? And the barber stops, and
know where
then
you're going.
and then the barber stops, and he's like, "Oh, get back to work," and then he tells Remy to get back to work. I didn't like that. Because again, it wasn't just a hired hand, but to me, you're on the same level as a barber.
Right.
That's to me what they were doing. Like to
Right.
me, there's no other point in that scene. It could have been a telephone call.
Well-
It could have been him in his office. The necessity for it to be with an employee and an employee from a hierarchy perspective. And that leads me to believe that's why I don't like Remy flip-flopping. There's a certain aspect, and I like it because it shows that the character has humanity. But as someone who likes the character, he's feeling weak to me and feeble in a way that I don't like. In
I think
terms
the
of actually
character was
grasping.
intended to. I think the character was intended to feel like that, and he's working for him longer. He, just like he told him, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, and I'm a lobbyist.
Not a henchman.
Not a henchman. It shows that Remy's status per se is becoming meaningless the longer he works for Tusk. Just like, for example, and they alluded to it when he was in the bird coop, and he said, "Shut up," and Remy was like, "Excuse me."
Excellent point.
It alluded to it, even though he was like, "Oh no, I'm talking to the birds," and then he was like, "Be quiet" later. It was kind of like an inference of you're less than, kind of, sort of. Like,
And-
if he was on a really, really super important phone call, he wouldn't have even been in the bird coop to begin with, to even have him talking out. Shut up, be quiet. Like, what?
Let's compare Tusk's. I'm guessing that's what is that room? It's the downstairs of the attic, the basement of his house. What he converted into
Yeah,
The bird coop?
the
No,
salon,
the barbershop.
The
I think
barbershop.
the basement.
Okay.
the basement. So compare
dungeon.
his basement, which is, to me, it represented him getting cleaned up, and compare that to Frank's basement, which was his workout room and his playroom where he
Right.
played games.
Right.
Even the two, when you compare them to one another, Frank is getting ready for war. He's training and he's working out,
Right.
and Raymond is just cleaning up.
Interesting. Okay.
So just wanted to put that out. No going.
Let's jump into. We've taken 30 minutes, but let's talk about obviously what's really important. The special prosecutor has thrown
Do
this.
we want to do that first, or we do the juicy stuff first?
No, let's do the juicy stuff last.
Okay.
To make you guys wait for the juiciness. Okay, so the special prosecutor is interrogating, and it's like a semi-hearing or deposition or whatever, and interrogating Frank about his involvement with Xander Fang, if he's familiar with it. He's denying everything that has to do anything with Xander Fang, China, back channeling. He knows nothing of anything, and he's very, very good with his words, this guy. And then he throws in how Stamper was seen at the casino, and there was travel logs of him flying out there. And you feel like for a second Frank is stumped because, the attorney is like, I need to speak with my client. And that whenever you stop and halt a deposition and the attorney is like, it's almost a feeling of admission of guilt, like a minor one. It's like, oh, we have to figure out how we're going to answer this question because we can't be forthright. The one thing he has in his corner is that he can say, we can't tell you because of classified, blah, blah, blah. That's one really good out in being the position that he's in. Like, such and such thing was going on, but I am not at liberty to say anything because it's classified and it's actually above your pay grade kind of thing, is what he's saying. So that's kind of cool. But when he goes to meet with the president, meet with Garrett, he suggests having transparency with everything that has been in that administration. And this is also another ploy for him to weave because he knows that the president is weakened by his marriage and he doesn't want that to get out. So in order for him to he knows he's going to go and doctor all the travel logs for himself.
Oh, my.
He knows.
Oh my God.
No,
Did I not think he really, I don't think he doctored the
I don't
log.
think he doctored it.
I think he
Are you
oh
serious?
my God, I'm being serious. I literally
didn't
thought that's why
Seth and Stamper went through all the.
They went through them to make sure that there was nothing there, not that they doctored them. And that's
Yeah, I
when
don't
he
think-
said. Then when they go, he goes, "Are we good?" And he's like, "I bet my life on it." And he says, "Me too." I
didn't take it like that.
Oh, I really did.
I took it
didn't think that.
I took it like
because the difference is Frank is smarter than everyone else. Things that like when he went to meet with Fang and Back Channel, that wasn't on his official records. Like he's smarter than that. Even remember when he went to Lanigan, he went to Womack.
Yeah, but think about it.
Okay.
Even if there was stuff on there, they would have to remove it. Even if there was anything that would completely minutely allude to it. He even said he went through his emails to make sure that everything.
And I feel like
that would
have left them. That would have exposed them more than just handing them over.
How would it expose them if they doctored them?
Then you start to have holes because all they need is one hole. All you need is for someone to basically look and say, okay, on Saturday it says he was playing basketball.
Okay.
And literally we have a photograph of him.
Okay, let's take that for example.
Yeah.
Say there is something in there that would implicate him. What would Seth and Stamper do?
I don't know.
They would remove it. They would doctor it. If there was anything at this point when he's being interrogated by the special prosecutor, if there was anything that alluded to anything close to this whole Fang back channeling thing, they would remove it. Trust. They would take it out. So when they present the whole transparency thing, he knows by telling Walker that we need to be completely transparent. Walker's not doctoring anything. He's going to give them everything, and that's going to give them the opportunity to leak this whole thing with the counselor.
Right.
Okay.
Stamper and Seth they're dirty. They're the hellhounds. They're dirty. These guys are going to remove anything. That's what I'm saying. Like, they doctored some stuff. I'm sure they did.
Okay.
I'm sure there was some stuff in those logs because he wouldn't hand them over otherwise. Is everything okay? Well, no, we found some stuff. What do you think Frank's going to say? Well, take it out. Remove it so we can hand it over. That's just what what do you guys think?
You know what? The best way that you can let us know. So do you think that they doctored the records, the travel logs, or do you think that they were actually 100% transparent? The way that you can do that is jump on iTunes. Just jump on itunes.com, type in AfterBuzz TV House of Cards, and our podcasts are right there. They'll become available. And what you can do is you can comment, rate, and subscribe. And by subscribing, the minute our podcasts are available, they will pop up to all of your laptops or your smartphones or your tablets so that you basically don't need to wait. They just become available the minute that they're available because we're live. So again, you just go to itunes.com, AfterBuzz TV House of Cards, rate, comment, subscribe if you like what we're talking about, 5 stars, and make sure you comment and you join the dialogue and tell a friend.
Yes. So, like I said, I believe they were doctored.
Okay.
You guys can weigh in on that later. But let's discuss, let's talk about Claire.
Okay, wait, before we do that, there's a certain bravado of Frank that I need him to get smacked down to the floor. He's a little bit too flip for me. The Kardashian comment making people laugh, like, "Oh, I'm Southern. We need to."
My mom said it helps the digestive system.
There's a certain, and even towards the end of the scene when he hands over the travel logs,
Right.
the way he smiles at Dunbar, no good.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because he's literally saying like, "Yo, I got you," and she's like,
I'm
gonna come after you.
Yeah, and she said, "There's something you're not telling me." By his posture, it's showing a lack of respect for the thing, which is the hearing and her authority. I don't like it.
But he does that on purpose.
I mean, I know.
I know you don't like it, but he does it on purpose, and he does things in such a way, whereas he has to impose that power. This is the whole reason he's chasing it, so he can use it.
Yeah.
So, and let's talk about how he imposes his power. Claire goes to meet with Jackie. Jackie's pulling out from the sexual assault reform bill with the military. I don't think they explained why she was doing that, or
she just said she did. She thought that the
She liked
civilian
the language.
oversight. She thought the civilian oversight was too much.
right. So
But that's really all she said.
Right. So she's PO'd, obviously. She tells Frank about it. Frank is like, "Don't worry, I promise I'll have this taken care of." Frank goes in there and flexes on her, like tough, and poses his power and tells her, "You're gonna pass the bill, whip the votes, and basically move forward." And she says, "Well, then I'm gonna insist that. Well, if you're insisting, what did she say? If you're insisting, I'm not listening, or something like that."
She basically was like, "No."
Right. That's when he made the pillow talk comment, I think, about Remy.
That's exactly when he made the pillow talk comment.
And I think that was a reality check for her about who she's really
Working
for and dealing with, because remember, Frank put you there.
Yeah, he's like, "And if you get elected, thank me for that too.
Exactly.
If you get reelected, thank me for that too."
Right. So, like, you think that don't you remember the meeting that you had when this guy was going to become VP and he came to you and met with you about taking his position? That's kind of like so completely unsophisticated. And yeah, maybe she wouldn't be ready for 8 to 10 years based on how she's acting with this, because she said she wouldn't be ready to step in a leadership position for another 8 to 10 years.
But what did she do to get that position? She had to play dirty. She had to give up information and sell someone out to get to that position. So it's like, you did it back then, but you're holding off on this bill. That's really not that.
To me, there's obvious, and this is actually my question. My question, or not, my statement is twofold. Either there is an actual backstory of why she's not in support of this bill, or this is her line in the sand because she has to distance herself from Frank. Right? Because at the end of the day, it's not a matter that she's not willing to do backhanded things.
I think she just has to prove that she doesn't. It's more of a personal thing. And honestly,
you think it's proving to Remy that she is not Frank's pawn, and not proving because he said it so many times, and it's kind of like in her head that she has to.
I think it's
prove
actually to
the statement
herself.
wrong.
I think it's to herself. I think what she said is valid. Like, the fact of the matter is, the fact that they still have an office basically in her office is rude. No, but seriously, like, you don't have an office?
Rude.
It's rude. Do you know what I mean? The fact that, and I have to choose my words carefully, but the fact that, again, you have your wife, right? So from a perspective of politics, it's not like it's another congressperson. It's not the president's wife, the vice president's wife, right? Who, arguably, we've never seen put any law up for anything. Right. Probably in history. If I'm wrong, please let me know.
Right. I'm not sure about that.
Right.
Either.
So is the one literally leading this bill, and it's true. They assumed her position. They never asked her. Granted, Frank asked her like, "Oh, are you getting sponsors?" And I don't remember what her response was, but they never really asked her. Number one. Number two. Not only did they not ask her, she's probably the only woman
who's been in the military,
right. Who's actually a member of the House or the Senate. Let alone a small percentage of people, men or women, within the House or the Senate who have served. Right. And you don't ask her opinion, you tell her? I think it's more for herself. I think it's more proving to herself. But I still think there's a backstory.
I think if Claire was smart, she's probably thinking, and it's logical to think that, if I have the first lady behind this bill, and of course after the whole scandal, they're like separating themselves from the bill, which for me, it doesn't really make sense, because just because somebody has an affair, what is an affair? Even if the story is true, if it's true, which it hasn't proven to be true, what does that have to do with sexual assault?
Well, because I think that ironically, what they're showing, and I think this is a theme throughout the entire show, it's the difference between the court of public opinion and the court of law.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I completely agree with you.
Yes.
What, if anything, does a bill that stops sexual assault on members of the armed services have anything to do with the bedroom antics of a lawmaker or anyone affiliated? The two are completely not connected.
Yeah.
However, public opinion is extremely important, number one. Number two, I think it's more so in this transparent world that we live in. Because even though arguably there's an aspect of lawmaking we're unaware of, on another standpoint, I think I mentioned this a couple episodes ago, it's actually the exact opposite. Like, you can literally go on C-SPAN and see hearings. Do you know what I mean? You can literally, this is public information, and now because the internet makes information so much more accessible, we can literally track things within the second.
Right.
So I think it's really just showing that public opinion means more, and how much our opinion of people has possibly less to do with their credentials to do their job from an academic or a professional basis in comparison to their personal skill sets or lack thereof.
Which is exactly why Tusk was trying to destroy Frank's credibility and his wife through the media, so that they can build that public opinion of, that they're, just to discredit them.
Right. Versus, as long as he makes money, it's money.
Right. Money is money. So Megan Hennessy has popped up now.
No. It's all right. We have to go to Meacham.
Okay, let's go to Meacham. Let's talk about Meacham and his Claire detail. So Meacham has been hanging out with Claire. Literally and figuratively. And he has a shift. His shift is over. And he's going to go home. And actually, they had some foreshadowing last episode when they were drinking beer out on the patio. And they were kind of hanging out. That was a little foreshadowing. If you guys are in tune in that way, you might have noticed that would lead to something this episode. But I wasn't sure it was going to come this soon. So she tells Meacham to hang out and have a glass of wine with her, I believe. And he's like, wine is not, he doesn't want to, don't waste your good stuff on me. The way that this guy has completely humbled himself to them, I think they're drunk off the power. This is why they like having him, they want him close, they want him around. It's not the fact that he's just loyal. It's the manner in which he's loyal. The other guys are loyal to the position, to the presidency. They're loyal to the title. Meacham is loyal to them. It's completely different, and they get just high off of it. It's like this thing. And now it's like they're so attracted to it that they've actually reeled Meacham into this tour that they've had in the kitchen. It started off in the kitchen. Meacham cuts himself. Frank comes home. He's like, what's going on? I'm missing the party.
Can I say that in season 1, I brought this up and both of you guys shut me down and said Meacham and Claire and it would never happen?
No. And this is the funny thing is,
I think she did say that.
No, she did say this. But the irony is, again, I think the difference is, though, is that how I interpret it still was Frank. Even in him saying when he asked to switch details, he's like, protecting her is basically protecting you. Right. To me, and again, everything that he's been doing, even when in season 1 when he puts the flowers in, it's because Frank asked him to. It's Frank he's drunk off of. Claire is an addition, but again, Claire is a representation of Frank. I really don't, because on some levels, let's just be straight up. Claire is an extremely beautiful, power, sophisticated woman. Being attracted to her, that's a non-factor. And I don't mean to be dismissive when I say that. For a Secret Service man to want to sleep with her,
Right.
That's not really the.
They're probably all beating
really,
their meat to Claire already.
Exactly. But thank you. Not
No,
to be
for real.
to be flip about it, but
they,
the key thing
just
is
like the last security guy who
exactly
had a thing for her.
right. But the difference is, no, he is literally drunk off of Frank.
Yeah.
He's drunk off of Frank. He's drunk off of their interaction. And if anything, it's Frank and Claire together. Do you know what I mean? So even in so much as when they did the scene, think about it. It's Frank who's cleaning his hand. When he's having drinks with Claire, it's more friendly. They're laughing and they're joking, but even notice the body language. He's not leaning into her. Do you know what I mean? And even when he gets up, he's like, oh, I'm off my shift. Do you know what I mean? And he puts his hand up almost like a child. But to Frank, like, see, I cut my hand.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Even though he did jump up like, oh, I'm doing something I'm not supposed to, it still wasn't like, oh, I'm trying to sleep with your wife. Like, it wasn't that type of a posture. And then when Frank is cleaning his hand, notice that he cups Frank's hand.
Exactly.
To me, that is so telling. They could have done it completely different where it was Claire who made the first move or that he made the first move with her. I know what you're going to say, I think. When he's looking at Claire, that's because he needs Claire's approval.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So to me, Claire, in terms of the eyesight with Meacham and Claire, it's basically because I'm not going to screw your husband if you're not okay with it.
Well, obviously,
I'm looking for Claire for approval, and that's to me what Claire was doing.
Right, okay.
Well, Claire
Emma.
kissing the hand was giving her approval into letting that whole thing go on. But the foreshadowing started when he brought the exercise machine into the bedroom. I think a workout machine is not supposed to be in the bedroom, and for him to carry it upstairs and help her, it represented like you're bringing the work into the bedroom. To me, that's what it represented. Also, the drinking as well.
Not only the beer. When he was watching, okay, analytical here. When he was watching the porn and Meacham came in and interrupted him, it was 2 men and 1 woman.
Yeah.
On what he was watching, and that's why he said the way he said it. Oh, you're not interrupting. You're a part of this, and you have no idea that you're a part of this scenario.
I feel like even that was plotted for him to see and for him to feel comfortable
right.
around them
to plant a seed. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because Claire says, "Did he see you doing?" And he's like, "Oh no, I was just watching."
And also, really quickly because we're running out of time here, but also when he asked her about Galloway, they were watching old tape that Connor had found of some race that they had ran in the past, an election.
It was out in Texas.
In Texas when they were young. So, oh, look how young we are. And he asked her about Adam. And then she asked him, are you not satisfied? And she meant sexually because obviously she was sleeping with Adam. That was her sexual whatever, blah, blah, blah. When she did that, it was more for Frank. That was my interpretation.
Completely agree.
Of her doing the whole thing with Meacham was for Frank, not for herself that she was turned on by Meacham or anything like that. It was for Frank because the next day, if you realize in the morning, she asked him, how do you feel? He's like,
I slept like a baby. And
actually,
she goes, you needed that. And when he asked her, she goes, I took two aspirin. Like, meaning she didn't get anything from it.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? And again, in even that exchange when he was like, oh, it's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the way that they kind of had the interaction.
But the night before, when she's working out in the machine, she tells him, you look stressed out, you look worried. Then, if this isn't a big deal, why are you so worried about it? So I think it was her own way of
helping him relieve some stress.
Completely.
Yeah.
But again,
and he relieved some stress, believe me.
But in a weird way, I felt like it was like a cult initiation in some way.
Completely.
So I'm thinking, who else have you guys done this with? Because I'm sure Meacham is not the first one because the way she orchestrated the whole thing, like getting drunk, cutting herself, and then giving him bourbon, and he finished the whole bottle, And,
no, I think she was genuinely being nurturing, just as like because she knows he's been on like a detail with her.
Yeah.
She didn't realize what was cracking off until to the hand rubbing, and then she was like. And then when they made eye contact, that whole communication thing that they have without saying anything to each other,
but it was like
make this happen.
It felt normal. It felt like something they'd done before. It wasn't something that they were experiencing together for the first time.
And that's the only thing I disagree with, because I think that's why they had that conversation in the episode before, that they were like, we don't have our same outlets that we used to have. And at the moment, then they basically made a pause and they were like, oh, maybe it's a good thing. And then she realized, no, it's not, because he's too stressed. So we need to figure out something else. And they're like, we don't have anyone loyal to us, blah, blah, blah. And that's why all those statements with Meacham kept coming up, like, Meacham help, Meacham whatever. Meacham's a jack of all trades. But again, I did completely shut you down.
The cufflinks. F you. Hello.
Right, no, but I mean,
right.
It would more be F me.
Exactly.
Anyway, so let us know what you guys think. Was this the first time that Claire and Frank have been engaged in some kind of menage type of situation? Some of us think so, some of us think not, and we want to know what you guys think. So let us know on Twitter and YouTube
and
iTunes as well.
Can I make one comment?
One.
Okay, you both knew about this and you've seen the whole season. I hadn't. How the hell did you guys keep this in you?
No, but the irony is,
we could all watch it again together if you like.
On the cufflinks, no, that's not going to happen. On the cuffling scene, I hadn't seen the whole season. So ironically, I hadn't, and that's why I was so adamant. I was like, no. I was like, I felt there was something about Frank, but I was like adamant because I was like, it's too, like I said, I think it's a throwaway.
Right.
Obviously, everyone's going to be attracted to Claire.
Right.
That's not, there's no story there. That's not enticing to me. That's not intelligent.
Right. Okie dokie. Well, we have a couple of things that we didn't touch upon, and we'll send you guys some questions, and we can talk, like I said, in the cybersphere. Until next time, where can we find you guys?
You guys can find me on GQ Jedi and also Twitter, Instagram at Real Emma K.
You can find me on Twitter at Sofia Stanley.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Club Thaddeus and GQJedi.com. Until next time, After Buzzers.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.